Shannon, what does the Clippers' collapse mean for the Lakers?
I mean, anything. That means they're in the Western Conference Final and they're going to face a foe that many people didn't think they were going to face. The Nuggets built their team to play basketball. The Clippers built their team to try to beat the Lakers. But along the way, you remember, Skip Benson, I told you this. Oh, they just see that team in the on the top floor. They're in the basement. They're not worried about anybody else. And I told you that. Keep overlooking all these teams, worried about the Lakers, and you see what it's going to get you. Mm-hmm. And this is what we started to see. As the pressure mounted, the Clippers started to gag. And what we saw was when there was expectations and Kawhi Leonard was the man, he gagged. He's never had success when he's been the man or there was expectation. When Tim Duncan left, what did he do in San Antonio? What did he do, Skip? Okay, when he went to Toronto.
Well, wait a second. When Tim Duncan left,
yeah.
Remember what happened in Game 1 at Oracle?
I don't know what happened.
Western Conference
I don't know
Finals?
what happened.
Well, my team was up 23 on Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors when they actually had a superstar on their team who was unstoppable. Up 23 in the third quarter, and Zaza Pacheep shot happened to Kawhi Leonard. That's what happened.
I remember in a game.
His ankle turned, and he was gone for the rest of the series.
Was that Game 6 in which they blew the Houston Rockets out when Kawhi didn't play with that ankle?
Did not play.
Oh, so now what we're seeing, Skip, is that the Lakers saying they can play a lot of different ways. Now, obviously, the big is going to come back into play this one because you got to have somebody to try to match up with Yoke. You got to have somebody to try to bother him, and JaVale can bother him with verticality. He's going to have to get out on those pick and rolls and things of that, Dwight Howard. So it's nice to have once Zubac's getting foul trouble, Skip, where do you go? Your tallest man now is 6'8", 6'9", Marcus Morris. And you're trying to deal with a 7-foot guy that's skilled. There's a difference between 7-foot Steven Adams and 7-foot Jokic, because Jokic can play. Skip, the Lakers have been saying all the right things all along. We're going to play basketball. We play who we play. Hopefully we play well enough that in the end it's good enough. You and the Clippers and everybody else was always talking about Lakers, Lakers, Lakers. You never gave people the respect. You never gave teams the respect they deserve because all you concerned yourself with the Lakers. Now, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Hey, Pat Bev, you know Dame said he didn't take that flight just yet going to Cancun. If you want to, y'all can go half on that private jet and get you right on over there, bro.
By the way, 1, 2, 3 Cancun doesn't really work here because that's what a team says when it's down 3-1 and it's battle cry going.
So what would they?
1, 2, 3 Cancun.
What would they say?
So they just quit before tip-off. The Game 5.
So what did they say? What do the Clippers say?
They said, bring on the Lakers. That's what they kept saying. Game after game, let's just bring on the Lakers.
Okay.
They were built to beat your team. They were conditioned psychologically to beat your team.
So whose fault is that?
I believe they would have beaten your team if they could have gotten to your team.
They could have. They played. They were in the playoffs.
Unfortunately, they would not take this team that you're about to play seriously enough until it was way too late. And once this team got on third and fourth quarter rolls, it destroyed the Clippers psychologically. Jokic, the Joker, turned their defense into a joke because he picked it apart. I believe that your team will win this in 5 games over Denver because it got shown how seriously you have to take that team.
Oh, yeah.
Your team is better than Denver. Your team, I believe it will be Dwight Howard for the most part defending Joker because he can do it. He's a former multi-defensive player of the year. His feet are quicker than JaVale's. JaVale doesn't have quick enough feet to deal with this guy. Dwight is savvy enough. He's sort of, if you will, nasty enough. Like he knows all the tricks on defense.
Right.
He will bother Jokic more than.
But Jokic's good at getting no fouls, Skip. You know how he comes through and you're like, oh, you see it? He got me.
Okay. But Zubac is just too nice a kid. You know, he'd try hard and he would just be on a string. He was just lost. Here's what Denver is all about. It's ironic that the man who gets attributed the ultimate quote about the NBA is Doc Rivers. It's a make or miss league. Denver will shoot the lights out. It's like contagious three-point shooting because Joker will find open three-point shooters. the way LeBron James can.
Yes.
He's right there in LeBron's stratosphere for being able to look over the defense at 7 feet tall and throw baseball passes to wide open three-point shooters who shoot it with conviction. Like the body language of the Nuggets is when they push into a three, you just think, that's good. Michael Porter Jr., he is just stroking threes like he means it. So here's the problem with that. Look what Denver did in the fourth quarters of games 5, 6, and 7. 3 straight closeout games. They shot 64% in the fourth quarters from 3. They made 16 of 25. That's hard to beat. Meanwhile, the Clippers in those 3 straight fourth quarters of the closeout games shot 6 of 33 from 3. That's 18%. What do you think is going to happen when they shoot 64% and you shoot 18% from 3? Because 3 is the math of 3 will kill the 2s, right?
That's if you're making 2s.
If you're making 2s, which they weren't even making 2s.
Right.
So my point is, I know what will happen right on schedule. LeBron and company, they're smart enough. They'll come out and take them very seriously from wire to wire.
Oh, absolutely.
And watch, Denver will turn back into pumpkins as the clock strikes midnight. They will start missing more threes than they make because it's just going to happen. They've been just crazy hot from 3 in 6 straight closeout games, 3 against Utah, then 3 against the Clippers.
Right.
Well, again, do I think LeBron, they're just better. They'll win this in 5 games. They'll know how to do it. They'll know. And by the way, remember, the Clippers loved the LeBron matchup, as we saw in the first 2 games, opening night, Christmas Day, because they had 3 defenders. They didn't have Marcus yet, but with Marcus Morris, they could go Kawhi, Paul George, Marcus Morris on LeBron. They had 3. They could just keep trading off.
Then why you didn't put that? So that means you got 3 guys with Pat Bev to do something with Jamal Murray. What y'all gonna do with Maul?
They didn't care about Jamal Murray. They cared about him.
Okay.
They wanted him.
Okay.
This was going to be the Battle of Los Angeles, and they overlooked the team that was sitting in their way.
Skip, you know what this reminds you of? And I know you'll remember this. You remember the Olympics? Dan and Dave? They had that big promo they rolled out. Oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And Dave flamed out.
He did.
And that's what everybody built this. This is Lakers, Clippers, the Battle of L.A. And on the way, one team flamed out. Your team flamed out. Skip, you got to call it like it is. Just say, I want you to say it with me, Skip. Say, they choked. Shannon, they choked.
I already said that in our A block.
Everybody.
I said the team with all the dogs played like choking dogs.
They're so mentally tough. You know, LeBron is not that assassin.
Yep. So this is what I want to say.
What you want to say?
I want to congratulate LeBron James on winning his 4th ring. It is over. He did it. You should have the parade. How about?
No.
Why don't you have it maybe next Monday?
No, we're going to play the game because that's what y'all did. See, y'all thought y'all could cheat the process. Y'all wanted to skirt the process. All you wanted to do was just get to the Western Conference Finals and play. But there's a process. There's a protocol that must be adhered to, and you weren't willing to adhere to it. So what about this notion? All Kawhi cares about is the playoffs. Let's see what happens when he meets the Lakers. Okay, he got to the playoffs. He gagged it. He spit the bit. And I want everybody. Skip. In this next segment, I got something. I've been waiting on this. It just came through to me. And we're going to talk about this because we got old Chris Broussard.
Really?
But I told Chris to come with his boy, and he wouldn't do it.
So my final thought is that Kawhi Leonard, in 7 games against Denver, led his team in scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks. I don't know. Is that good? I think that's pretty great.
How many, Skip? Let me ask you a question.
He choked. He gagged.
Skip, let me ask you a question in the playoffs. In the playoffs, how many times you think LeBron James have done that?
Done what?
Led his team in points, rebound, assists, steals, and block shots. Remember, he did that for an entire series of everybody that touched the court. Led everybody. And you want to talk about that. But at the end of the day, I thought you said all Kawhi Leonard cared about was dubs. He didn't care about stats. Now you see what you did.
All he cared about was LeBron James.
All he cared about was losing. He should have not listened to his Uncle Dennis and stayed his butt in Toronto. So and guess where he'd have been?
Lakers in 4.
I don't know what I don't even talk about the Lakers just yet. I don't even want to talk about old GOAT JJ yet.
You know, I should just pick this a sweep because it's a joke, Joker.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.